Hello, parents, grandparents, future parents, and curious minds. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Steven.
And I'm PJ.
And this is
Dad's Discuss.
So, PJ, how you doing these days?
I'm doing all right, Steven. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Really, not excited, but excited to talk about our topic we chose today.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one that is something everyone's going to have to go through. So certainly something that parents have to think about. How do we approach this topic?
Yeah. I know for us, you pray it's few and far between. You incur a death in the family or even a friendship. But we'll talk about how we work through it and what we do as parents to guide our kids along those emotional roller coasters.
Yep. I know when I was younger, I unfortunately did have to attend a handful of funerals, mostly due to friendships, not as much family. But I did come from a smaller family. So those individuals who have larger families, I can see this being more and more common.
Yeah, so a little pretext, we both had, a grandparent die within a month of each other,
Yeah,
right?
it was a month, yes.
It's on our minds a lot the past couple days, so we wanted to talk about it while we're together.
Yep. My grandfather, rest in peace, lived a good life, but did recently pass away. We were able to visit him just a couple weeks before his passing, though, and that was actually really nice just to get to see him still in a state of, enjoyment, getting to talk to him, getting our children to get to see him one last time. So I'm very thankful for that.
That's awesome. My grandpa made it to 101, so it was more of a celebration of life than a sad funeral, but it was still, I don't have any grandparents left on that side now, so it was quite a bit sad, but still fun to see cousins, and the little ones got to play with cousins.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's interesting. You were talking about getting to see relatives that you might not have seen before. So when you do have a bigger family, sometimes those, even though it's a sad event, can turn into more of a celebration of life, if you will. Getting to see family members that you don't often get to see, especially when everyone nowadays is spread across the country or even the globe.
Yeah, that's we're the family that's really far away, sort of things. The rest live up in Michigan, where the grandparent was, so it was really nice to go see them. There's a couple that spread out a little bit more than that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is an interesting topic. I know where I stand. Like, I'm very comfortable with the knowledge of death. It's going to occur for everybody, everyone you know. I can't say for certain at what age I hit that, but I know for our children, they're definitely at an age where even just the concept, they may not fully understand it.
Yeah, they have no idea.
Yep. And so how do you approach the topic of a death in the family or a death of a friend, that this is the absolute last time that you're going to see them on this plane of existence? I know a personal story recently when we did go down to visit my grandfather before his passing. After we received the news that he had moved on, my daughter said, "So he doesn't live in Florida anymore?" Well, yes, that is accurate. But
it's true. He has moved on from Florida.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. I think the one thing I remember from the funeral was Anna Celli wondering, why we were there and why he was in an urn and things like that. And I was like, okay, these are great questions to answer right now.
Yep.
It's because he's passed away, and then where did he pass away to?
Yeah, I know. And having animals too, I think, can also help offset. Usually when people have animals in the family, more often than not, they will pass away before, a known human individual might. So maybe the concept of death is lessened if they've experienced that through a household pet before.
Yeah, as long as you don't have a great Galapagos turtle or whatever that lives.
Then it's going to live longer than you, right?
Yeah. But
Off topic. Have you seen some of these sharks I've been seeing online? They're like 300 years old.
really? Oh
Yeah.
wow. Are people just catching them or something?
Yeah,
Like,
they'll catch them unintentionally, and they may have like a fish hook stuck in them. They'll do tests, and they're like, "This thing is more than 300 years old."
wow.
Fascinating.
How would you? What would you do if you lived that long?
Oh gosh,
That's a bit too long on Earth, I think.
I agree.
I think we got perfect lifespans, just enough time to have fun and get to learn the world and move on from it.
And hopefully make the right decisions along the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what we're here for.
It is. That's interesting too. As we mentioned before, both myself and Steven, are religious. So how do you approach the topic of death for someone who may not be, for someone that doesn't believe that there's an afterlife?
Well, I know the people I've talked to on the subject, they just, want to live their life here to the fullest experience because everything after this is emptiness.
Emptiness.
So,
Yeah.
kind of a downer play for sure, but it's not too far-fetched to have that fear of death because there's nothing beyond it.
Yeah.
But then there's also a lot of people that I talk to that feel that way still think, well, maybe there is some sort of type of afterlife, not the, Christianity model of, heaven and God and hell and the devil, but just like beings walking the earth side by side in an alternate spiritual dimension sort of thing.
Yep.
Or
I think,
reincarnation and things like that.
There are certainly multiple different views of what could happen after our earthly life. And, as engineers and scientists, we also know that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So when someone does pass away, like that energy, what occurs?
Yeah.
This actually made me think of something that I just wanted to bring up because I thought it was interesting. Someone did a study and they had like 6 individualized. Wow, that's not a word.
Individualized.
They had 6 individuals where they knew that they were close to approaching death, and they were studying them. And apparently, a majority of those individuals, at the exact moment of death, like there was a temperature change, but also a weight change, and it was exactly 21 ounces. And some people are like, that's just really interesting that when someone dies, you instantly have like a change in that individual's weight by a certain amount. I don't know what it means. I just thought it was a cool fact.
Like a weight lifting off their shoulders.
Yeah, or like the soul leaving the body, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we can cut that out if we need. I thought it was interesting.
Now you gotta leave all the fun little tidbits in our brain into here. Otherwise, otherwise it's not as fun, right?
Otherwise, this podcast would be forever long.
Yeah. Or it'd be, less fun.
Less fun, that's right.
We're having a conversation. But yeah, you talked about our experiences around death a lot. You remember I lost my brother to
I do remember
suicide almost 10 years ago now. This will be the 10-year mark. And so that was really rough and definitely something that kind of brought me closer to God and just people in general, and wanting to do more for people, because once you lose someone that close to you, you wonder if you spend enough time with anybody. So I think that's partially why it's hard for me to say no when people want to hang out, because you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to see somebody.
No, that's a good point.
So
and having an experience like that can certainly make you more aware, like, there is always a chance that this may be the last time I see this individual.
Yeah, you never know what's going on in their head and things like that.
Absolutely. Well, you've always been a very caring person, Steven.
Thanks. That's my mantra, I guess. I don't know, motto. Just do what you can for other people.
Good.
Spread kindness and joy, and it'll come back to you tenfold if you need it, when you need it.
That's right.
The thing I've struggled with the most about it, and I need to do better at it, Catherine constantly reminds me that I can just talk about him with the kids because it eats me up inside that they never got to meet him and stuff like that.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but it's okay.
Well, I mean, in essence, it's an even bigger difference too for her. And if we need to cut this later, we can. But they never got a chance to meet their maternal grandfather because he passed away before they were even born.
Mm,
So, does she ever share stories like that to them?
not yet.
Okay.
Well, I mean, occasionally, like, we'll talk about how our second child has the ears of her dad, and then we'll tell them, little stories here and there. And, their grandma on that side, we'll talk about him and things like that. So
Okay.
I'll talk about my brother some. That's true. So
All right.
but it's not as much as maybe I wish I would. So
Yeah, and that's it's hard enough to talk about a death in the family or a friendship for someone that they knew, but the concept of talking about someone that they have never and will never meet on this
Yeah.
earth, they probably are a little young to understand
yeah,
that.
probably wait a little bit longer.
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know. The oldest one's pretty smart already. 4-year-olds, man.
Smarter than us sometimes,
At least
right?
they think they are. I don't know. The sense of helping people and trying to do better comes from him and lessons learned along the way.
Okay.
But I do always have the experience of, being in church. One time I could, really sense his presence there and felt like he was in a pew away from me, giving me a thumbs up and a smile. And
That's really cool.
that kind of had me keep going. It was probably like a year or so after he passed away.
No, that's absolutely awesome, and I do believe in stuff like that. We can still experience visitations from those we knew, and whether or not that's intentional or just something that either they or God felt was necessary for our own benefit, I think that's very fascinating. Before I came over here, we actually went to visit a famous little supposedly haunted place in our city called Dead Children's Playground.
Yeah.
And I had never been there before, but it certainly had an interesting feeling to it. Like it's a sunny day here today. It was a little windy. When you were standing out by that, you couldn't really feel the heat or the breeze on you. It
Wow.
almost felt like we were in like a different dimension.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go there sometime. I don't think I've been yet either.
Well, it's minutes from
like-
your house.
Really close.
Yeah.
You trying to let everybody know where I live?
Oh yeah. Well, we'll cut that part. Sorry.
No. I'll just bleep and just leave in minutes and
That's perfect.
it's
Yes,
blank
do that.
minutes from
Yes,
your
do that. It's minutes from your. I like that. Well, for those listening, I know this is a more serious topic, but currently I am drinking a French white pale ale called La Givrée. In honor of the Olympics, I guess. This one's out of France.
Oh yeah, that's a lucky coincidence.
Very
right there.
coincidental.
And we'll remind you guys to like, comment, and subscribe in the middle of the episode too, because that helps promote it.
Thank you. What are we called again?
Dad's Discuss. And we didn't even plan that.
Death in the family, though, I think, luckily, at least for our children, they have not had to experience a death of someone extremely close to them. I dread
Yeah.
the day that has to occur, as we know it will.
Right.
But them getting accustomed to what it means to be alive, what it means for someone to move on from this plane of existence to the next, I'm glad that they are getting exposed to that now rather than it just kind of coming as like a shock
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, like someone really close friend and it just coming out of nowhere.
Right.
Why are they gone? Sort
Exactly.
of thing. You hope that they make it to their teens right before that ever happens.
Absolutely.
but
Yep.
Can't always get what you want.
Yep, and having older family members pass away, hopefully in the natural order. I always remember that quote from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, where he said, "No parent should ever have to bury their child."
Yeah.
And and I myself know of a few people, your mom included, that have
Yeah.
had to do that, and that's, at least for me as a new parent, I can imagine that is one of the toughest things that anyone would ever have to go through.
Very traumatic. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely seek therapy. Which is what this podcast is for. I don't know if I told you, but you're my therapist now, so I can talk these things out.
Thank you.
No.
I only charge 2 cents an hour.
Oh, I thought you were doing this for free.
Pro bono therapy.
Yeah, but that is also something I'm grateful for, that we decided to send the kids to Catholic school, because I think that's going to be part of any religious curriculum, is talking about the afterlife. So hopefully she'll bring questions home, or we can bring it up and talk about it and things like that.
Okay. I know we had our school choice episode, but we're now actually getting into the part where both mine and Steven's youngest, or your oldest, heading into school for the first time. So that's exciting.
It is very exciting. Yeah, hopefully she takes a lot of lessons out of there and it becomes a really good place. She's already enjoying it, but it's only been 2 days, so we'll see how it goes.
That's good. I never had that opportunity. We did go to Sunday school and we would go to church, but never went to school through a religious organization. I knew quite a few people that did, though. And that's cool. I really hope that she gets something out of it. I hope it's a great learning and, friendship experience. I'm not quite sure the word I'm looking for. Social.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, she's already making new friends. We just so happen to be in the same class as someone that Catherine grew up with. Her child is going into the same classroom
Nice.
as our oldest. So we're like secretly trying to make them best friends so we can all hang out. And they just so happen to live in the same neighborhood too. So we saw them at a neighborhood event yesterday and we were like, all right, well, I guess we're just going to see a lot more of each other now.
That's cool. I like that.
Which Catherine's obviously excited about.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel like us and the rest of our friend group have definitely been trying that ever since we started having children. Everyone gathering around for different birthdays and events.
Yeah. We're coming into birthday season.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, everybody had kids in September, October, so it's going to just be crazy.
That's right.
Of course, and then the friends are also born in October. So they have kids in October and they're born in October. So we just really need to have somebody shut down their street for a block party, and we just celebrate everybody's birthday at once.
There we go. Let's call the city. We're going to make this happen.
Yeah. That definitely ties into, seeing each other before the end, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
I know everybody's going through the same busy schedule of kids and trying to grow careers and finances and all the things we talk about in this episode, starting podcasts. But it doesn't excuse the fact that we should get together more.
No, I completely agree. Something we brought up too that I wanted to hit on again was the fact of having a family member, relative, or friend pass away that's older or was kind of expected, if you will. Your grandfather was 101, mine was 93. You kind of, you almost knew about when it was going to happen. What was really rough with a friend of ours is it was absolutely sudden. That no cause or concern that anything was going to be wrong. An accident occurred. He passed away. And so when it happens like that, you don't have that chance to get mentally prepared.
Yeah.
And even as an adult, not just as a child, that can help soften the blow when you know it's about to occur. But when it just happens out of nowhere, that's rough.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want to have that time for closure and things, and once you realize they're gone, you think back to what the last thing you said to them. And if it wasn't, I love you, bro. And then
yep,
you're kind of sad.
Yep. And you think you may never have that opportunity again. We hope we do. Absolutely we do. But at least here on this earth, we may not get that chance. So the closure aspect, as you mentioned, isn't there. And that can be hard for anyone to go through, but especially children.
Yeah. Yeah, bringing it back to the family, I guess you gotta prepare for it a little bit, or practice praying on it.
Yeah.
Or if you're not religious, I guess there's some other thing to lean on.
Yeah.
I don't really know what they lean on, but I'm sure there's something you can lean on to embrace it and make it okay.
Well, hopefully, friends and other family members, I hope that everyone that I know, religious or not, understands that I always want to be available to them
Oh, yeah.
if they ever need someone to speak with
Yeah. Or just listen.
or just listen. Absolutely.
Or take you out to dinner or bring you dinner or anything you need.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's a traumatic enough time to have to worry about food.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an old adage, but I know it's true. You have a funeral and kind of turns into more of a potluck, but you notice that anyone who's had a family member pass away, they're not cooking, so
Yeah.
they absolutely appreciate that. And then just getting people together, to help you help the ones who loved the individual who passed away. I don't want to use the word coping mechanism, but it's a great show of compassion that I hope people realize does make a difference.
Yeah. And follow up. Because they say, everybody shows up and turns out for the funeral and stuff. But then once a couple weeks dies down, the individual who lost someone doesn't hear anything for a while. So it's always good to follow up with your friends that are going through that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Yep. And if someone invites you to almost like a memorial service or a celebration of life, even if it's months down the road, if you can make the time to go support that person and their family.
Yeah, I agree. What else can we discuss on this topic? That's already a lot of heated stuff.
Speaking of heated stuff, Steven likes to turn the air conditioner off while we're recording, and it is unnaturally hot right now.
You're welcome, listeners. You don't have to hear a constant buzz. I might cause a heat stroke on PJ. No, I'm just kidding.
It's okay. I got a beer. We should be all right.
It'll cool you down. You can get one of the summer ales.
There you go. No, we definitely have spoken to our children. My two oldest, certainly, they're well aware of the concept. No trouble there. With my youngest, she understands that when someone passes away, that they won't be coming back. But also sometimes does not, as in the story I just mentioned where she asked, is he going to be there again? No, not quite. So it's interesting hearing their little brains work. And I do have another story, and if she listens to this years down the road, hopefully she doesn't get too embarrassed. We watched the old classic Casper a while back.
That's a good one.
It's a great one, right? Well, there is a portion of the movie, for those who hadn't seen it or for those who have, where the main character's mother, who had been recently deceased, comes and visits for a short amount of time as almost like an angelic figure.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then she has to disappear. My daughter, when that occurred, it's like I could watch the realization of what just happened go through her mind. We're watching the movie and everything's fine, and then we get to that part, and she starts getting tears in her eyes, and she looks up at me and her mom, and she's like, is she going away forever? Are they ever going to see her again? And so that was really interesting, watching her little brain process the fact that this person has died, and no, you won't see them again. And that realization was really interesting to see how she coped with that.
That is a good point. Entertainment may provide some desensitization to the fact of death, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple years ago, Catherine finally let Anna watch Lion King.
Okay.
And as soon as Mufasa, spoiler alert,
he dies.
She asked the whole movie, repeatedly, the whole movie over and over again, where's his daddy? Where's his daddy?
Oh.
And so Catherine had to answer that over and over again. That's pretty brutal.
Yep. So maybe it can actually be beneficial in that, they can get exposed to that concept through entertainment and media, and then you can just be there to help them understand the concept rather than just having to bring it up cold.
Yeah, true. The things we'll have to grapple with, or already grappling with, I guess.
Absolutely.
There was one more thing along the entertainment circle line I was thinking of, but it slipped my mind, so you can continue rapping while I...
Rapping?
you mentioned Lord of the Rings earlier, and there's a lot of death in Lord of the Rings, so maybe I should just pop that one in.
There,
We'll
yeah, sure, why not? We're gonna watch a James Bond film, kids. Come on.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that'll expose them to a lot of stuff.
Oh man, that's interesting. Now that I think about it, some of the movies that I remember growing up as a child and that we have tried to expose her to did have some really tough scenes. We rewatched, or I myself as an adult rewatched The Fox and the Hound, a Disney movie.
Man, that one's brutal.
And as Steven just mentioned, boy, that one will get you. And so I almost feel like some of the concepts they put in these kids' movies, you may not be able to be there for your kids as much because you and as adult are just like, I'm feeling my feels right now.
Yeah. Oh, my oldest, she can go to movies with me now, and we watched Inside Out as her 4-year-old movie.
Okay.
And we were both on that roller coaster of emotions.
Oh.
I'd look over and she'd just be like, she gets into it like her dad. And like movies can just tug on our heartstrings so easily. I'm probably not going to introduce her to horror films until she's like a teenager.
Probably a good idea.
Although those are more, I don't know, they don't tug at your heartstrings. They just try and take you on a thrill ride. So Disney does a pretty good job at keeping the emotional flow ups and downs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess you develop certain coping mechanisms, right, as you go along through life.
You do, and I don't think that you realize that you do until you get to a point where you have to think about them or explain them to someone else. So
Yeah.
how do you explain how you've gotten to that point to your children?
Yeah.
I know for my middle child, who is very in touch with the world, when his grandfather passed away, he was relatively young, but old enough to understand what had happened. You know, he cried, everything like that. But then his take, and we still talk about this to this day, to understand, he said, well, everything dies, even the grass dies. And we're like, this is true, you know, and if that's how you want to think about it, that's fine. It's always, yeah. So it's always going to happen. So yes, it hurts, but you know, it's not the end for yourself. You know, they can live on in your memory, but everyone is going to die. It's just a fact of life. What did they say? There's only two things in the world that are certain. That's death and taxes.
Yeah, and then there's that other saying that goes along with what you're talking about, where people, what's the phrase? I don't even remember where I heard it from, but when does a man truly die, or a person truly die, and it's when he's forgotten. And so as long as you keep those people in your mind, thoughts, and talk about them, they're not truly gone until they're gone.
So that's why Bing Bong is not truly gone, because I still remember
Oh
him.
man, not Inside Out.
Not sponsored by Disney, but I welcome that if they want to give us some money.
Yeah, they can throw some of that cold hard cash our way. That's fine.
No, that's a really good point. Not that we're getting off topic on Disney movies, but sometimes they do have great morals. Their movie Coco, the entire concept of that movie was about that.
Coco's good.
Yeah, is that after someone dies, they do live on in the spiritual world until the point where nobody left on Earth remembers them.
Yeah.
So
did they have a concept after that though, or was that like done?
No, the concept is that they didn't know what happens. They disappeared from that spiritual world, but that nobody knows where they go.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I haven't seen that one in a while. The other one, we're just doing references now, guys. You can tune out if you need to. The other one's up above you right now in those leather-bound books. The ones, The Way of Kings. I've been reading the Stormlight Archives. And it's they have their whole motto and the first oath that they say to be in a special group of individuals is life before death, strength before weakness, and journey before destination. So that now I'm starting to live my life kind of towards that oath a little bit.
I think you are, because that's not cool. The first time in this podcast series that you.
I've brought that up before.
You have,
man.
Yes.
It relates to everything. Those are just such good books. I don't know. They pull their weight in gold on just imagining yourself in a crazy environment of a fantasy realm that is almost all hope is lost sort of thing. That's a lot of fantasy books, but this one's just really well written. With the author, I guess, is just really good at diving into different personas and writing them from their perspective. So it's super entertaining, and I like that oath. So
That's cool. That's really cool.
gotta go on a journey before you can reach the destination.
Sometimes I have to go to the journey of the fridge before I can reach the alcohol. That's actually a very deep concept when you really start to delve into it. And the fact that you have brought it up multiple times mean you are trying to kind of like think in that mindset. And that's cool.
Yeah.
We never stop learning.
Right. The other question, how do I phrase it?
With a question mark at the end.
Yeah. I guess how long, what would be your ideal age to make it to? Would be my question.
Myself?
Yeah.
Well, considering that me as the absolute middle of the road millennial, what do they say that's between 82 and 96? Well, I was born in 88. I fully do not expect Social Security to exist by the time I make it to retirement. So maybe 75?
Oh, really?
I don't think I want to live super long, only because I have seen that you can almost get to a point where your body begins to fail you. And I respect everyone who was able to take care of themselves to that point, but I just do not want to get to the point in this life where I am, pretty much helpless or dependent upon so many other people to have to just get me throughout the day.
That's fair. I want to make it to 85.
85. All right.
That's my goal. I apologize if you can't hear the air conditioner. It says that it is too hot in the house, so it's going to cool us down. Anyways.
I didn't even do that, listeners. That was definitely the smart system kicking on and saying, PJ is too hot.
Yeah. Anyways, after checking the phone and getting distracted, what were we talking about?
You said 85 is like
85 would be my goal, but I have the opposite experience. I mean, I have seen a lot of people in the situation you're talking about, but just looking back at my grandpa's life, he didn't start fading until like 98, 99, which is ridiculous. So I hope I can, if I make it past 85, I hope I can keep my physical fitness up like him and be able to do everything, because he passed away in his house by living alone just fine, having some assistance obviously, but at 101 getting to die in your house, pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess that is true. Maybe I'm underselling myself here. My grandfather,
Stay fit.
Thank you, who just passed away. Up until even 6 months before his passing, he was walking around, just with the assistance of a cane.
Wow.
So perhaps I am not thinking clearly in how much taking care of oneself and modern medicine can do for an individual, and maybe it is a little easier to get to that point later in life than I thought.
Yeah, you still have to have the genes and the dedication and the hard work. I mean, he played ice hockey until he was like 68.
Okay.
And then he said his body didn't like it anymore, so he started swimming at 70 or somewhere around there. And so he swam 70 all the way to like 96 or something like that.
That's intense.
And so he has a world record in his 90s because he was the only one swimming that quickly in the breaststroke.
All
so
right.
Pretty cool life.
That is cool.
So dedicate yourself to something and it'll keep you running for a long time.
Yep, and I think the physical fitness, as you've mentioned, and as I know we've talked about on another podcast, can make a difference. So your grandfather was apparently very physically active, which is great. And mine, he was involved in tennis up until even his 80s. And I think that did make a difference in that, you know, at least twice a week he was out there in the heat, moving around, playing with his friends. That's it certainly can make a difference, and we have personal experiences of that.
Yep. And Catherine's grandpa speaking of church, he walked the church grounds like 2 miles every day because he basically took care of them for them because he lived just down the road. So he walked a ton. He made it to like 92, 91, something like that.
Yeah, well, ma'am, I'm going to revise my statement. I actually hope to make it a little bit longer.
I convinced you. At least your wife and kids will appreciate that.
I hope so. I
Yeah.
hope to be able to see my family grow up and provide for them as most husbands do,
Yeah.
most fathers do, and this is the Dads Discuss podcast.
Yeah.
So whatever I can do to help them as much as I can, provide them the insight and life experiences that'll get them where they need to be. I hope I
agree.
can do it.
I agree. The 85 comes from me in the fact that I feel like if I retire at 60, that's 25 years I can, shower my hopeful grandkids and stuff with love, and that's a good chunk of time out of my life to think about, and then everything past that's a plus. And I joke with Catherine about once I hit 85, I'll start doing all the dangerous stuff I avoided pre-85 so I could make it to that point. So
we're going to go ride
skydiving,
motorcycles at 86?
motorcycles,
All right.
skydiving, underwater fishing or whatever you call it.
Underwater fishing.
Harpooning, I don't know. All the crazy stuff that can get you killed, I'm on board after 85.
Fair enough. And apparently you don't believe in Social Security either, because if you retire at 60, you're not going to be able to withdraw at that point.
I've got, when we talk finances, I got other methods of not needing Social Security.
That's
so
I think most
it's
people
not in the
around our
plan.
age would need that one. So
Yeah.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Well, then that sounds like a good place to wrap.
Oh, yes. As always, if there's anything you'd like to discuss regarding this episode or any of the topics we've covered thus far, or a future topic you'd like to see, please reach out on any of our socials.
Yeah, for sure. And have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Dads Discuss.
Please like and subscribe wherever you are listening.
Also, comment any topics you would like us to discuss and share this with your friends and family.
Finally, if you would like to be on the podcast or discuss any topics, please reach out via our contact information below. Congratulations to the Dads Discuss podcast for getting a new microphone.
Woo! They weren't, but they were when they were at the funeral. They were like, "Why are we here?"
Aww.
Just like not really understanding it. But
Yeah. And she knows facts, but doesn't necessarily comprehend all of it. So when Kimber's watching her kids, we'll be passing by. He used to work excavation over there where they're building all the new bridges by the baseball stadium.
Oh, really?
And when we pass by that, Luna will just offhandedly say, "Oh, yeah, your dad's dead," pointing to the other kid, and he'll go like, "Yeah, I know. She's not doing it to be mean. She's just stating a fact she knows."
Yeah.
You know?
Still like
Right?
very traumatizing.
Yeah.